was the song Orleans kind of the first song from you guys that really got a lot of radio play? Like, I'm curious, what was it like hearing your song on radio frequently? What are the emotions, the feelings? Is it surreal?
I think
Carry
On was the big.
We did have a few radio singles before that one, but this was the first one that really popped. Yeah, there was a crazy moment where we had this story is just.
You're going to talk about the shed?
I'm going to talk about building the shed.
Oh God, here we go.
Here we go. Shed story. Cue up the shed story.
This was like a building IKEA furniture moment, but we had to build this shed. And I remember something went horribly wrong and we put the wrong piece in the wrong place and we had to redo it. And this went like way into the night. Like we're working under floodlights and then
it's like maximum 3 hours. We're like 7 hours deep.
We're angry. We're frustrated. We're tired. And we're like, you know what? Let's just go out for a beer. I'm exhausted. We finished this thing. Let's go out for a beer. And then when we went out for a beer and we sat at the bar and our song came on and we're just kind of laughing and listening and drinking. And then it's like, people in the bar is singing the song and they don't even know who we are. Cause at that point, our imagery hadn't really been anywhere. We didn't even have management at the time. And it's just,
I don't even know if we had an agent.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
we had a record label that was just like, this fucking kicks ass and let's put it out there. And then we just had it out there and we're sitting in a bar. We're like,
it was a surreal moment.
Singing the song. And it was
the shed building day. Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. But I guess that's the nature of it. If you just try to do something really great, people are going to recognize the effort of it at least, but also if it is something really great, people are going to enjoy it. So that was a really awesome moment to just be sitting there and be like, they have no idea that we wrote this.
I've seen videos where there's a band that's playing on a patio and they're doing a cover song and then the actual artist walks by. So it's like, it's in LA and the band Lit, My Own Worst Enemy, and they had a bunch of huge songs. You Make Me Complete, whatever, all those songs. So it's like the band is walking by outside and inside they hear their hit being played and they like hop the fence and go up and go on stage. And the guy like turns and the real band's there and they get up and they jam and you see those videos. So it's funny. It's kind of like that where you're there and people are singing. They have no idea that they're in the company of royalty. They have no idea.
I don't know if I'd call it royalty.
I was going to say greatness, royalty, at least of the creators of the song anyways.
But it is a funny thing. It's like the dynamic because we're all, I mean, every artist is a fan first, so it's being on the other side of it is different. It's funny, but I think that what we try to do is just always maintain to be humble about it and feel grateful that we have the opportunity to do what we do because we're fans first and artists second. And I think that I've met artists where it's just like they've lost that perspective and it's like, this guy's a real piece of shit. And
they feel entitled.
And that sucks. It's like, just be you. You don't have to be a piece of shit because you think you're better than everybody else. Like, and that sucks. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, but this is pretty amazing. I don't ever want to be that guy because that's just not me. But it's also like, we do what we do because we're lucky to be able to have the opportunity to do it. And that's the most important thing to never lose sight of. And I think that that's why when we meet fans and stuff, like we're just grateful that they like what we do because it gives us the opportunity to do it more.
Yeah. And we all started at open mics and in the garage, you know what I mean? Like there's no hiding the fact that you once sucked pretty bad.
Yeah. And
so
artists may never go back to that. And some artists may realize that I will never go back to that. but it doesn't mean you have to lose your perspective, you know, and still just be a decent human being and know that you were a fan first. And I think that that's the people that we meet that are on the highest levels of the music industry, they so many of them have that perspective and stay humble like that and aren't pretending to be something else. And I think that there's a lot of artists that do try to pretend to be something else that they're not. And to me, it's just like, it's so phony, and it's just like makes you want to puke. Like, it's like, but for us, it's just that it's just us, I guess, as people, that we're always just going to be fans first. We always grab tickets for shows and want to go out there and stuff. And I think that's what fuels the organic music that we make, and the art that we try to pursue, and the songs that we try to write are coming from an honest place. And I think that that's those songs are the greatest songs that can be put out there, because it's a real deep connection. Putting your heart out there, you're putting your soul out there, and that connection is happening to many different people. And to share that moment on the stage live is something that it's a real, that's life. That's true living as an artist, you know. Otherwise you're just faking it. If you're faking it, get off the stage.
People know when you're faking it, right? They can feel the congruency and all that.
Yeah. I hope so.
So in 2019, you guys released your full-length album, Badlands. Did you feel pressure to follow up the success of the EP and the hit single, Orleans?
Yes.
Let's
be honest here.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, I mean, because it wasn't a formula, you know. There's bands that have formulas that they'll be like, this is how we do it. And it's just like it's like you have this blueprint of this formula of how to do everything. And those bands are rewriting the same song every single time. And it's like, that's the one trick pony. We're not the one trick pony. We don't have
not
this
necessarily
specific formula that we're following for every single song.
Yeah, that album was a bit chaotic, right? And a bit all over the place. So how do you recreate that? You can't. Yeah. So I guess we just didn't try to recreate it. We just we knew that we did it on our own. So if we can just make that magic happen again, as we always have, it's always kind of, not to say it's the same thing every time, but our mentality going into the record is the same every time.
Which is like
we wrote these riff songs, and, you know, we made the songs the best they could be. So let's just keep that consistent. Keep writing the best songs you can write.
Yeah.
So we just stuck with that. Like, why try and change that up, I guess, except that we want to make the songs better. So I think that's what we changed on that record, right? Like, we looked at the writing of the songs a little more. And we've always been very riff driven, right? Like, that's where our music started. Lyrics were always kind of written later. Always began with the music and us in a room and just jamming and like hit and record when, oh, I really like that. Do that again. Let's do that again. And that's kind of always where our songs always started. So this one was that too, but we honed in more on songwriting and crafting the songs to be better.
Yeah. So it's like what we learned from the process of From the Devil's Porch. We took all of that and brought it into the process of Badlands, but we also pushed ourselves more. And I think that that's the nature of trying to always improve and write better songs. It's like, know what worked and then push yourself more on different elements of it, and try to challenge yourself in different ways that you haven't challenged yourself on the last recording. And I think that, like, when we look at songwriting, like, this song is number one. The song rules all. Like, that's our mentality, you know. Like, we don't need to sit there and jam for 45 minutes and just rip. Like, for us, it's just like, we love the having this perfect balance of the time that we're using and not writing like 12 minutes of just, you know, whatever. Like it's maybe one day we'll write a 12-minute song that will be the greatest thing ever, but for us, yeah. But for us, it's just
your
like
own November Rain someday.
Yeah, I mean, like there are songs out there that are really, really phenomenal that are long, but you know, for us, it's just if it did, if we reach 2.5 minutes and it's like we're trying to push something more into that because it's only 2.5 minutes, it's like, no, it's wrong. So it's
we
like,
definitely had those ones like this song's only 3 minutes.
Like this is only it's
like wow, feels done.
Yeah, it feels finished. So it's not, but we look at the songs that we love, and most of them sit around like 3 minutes. Like it could be 4 minutes, could be 2.5 or whatever it is. And that's kind of the way that we look at songwriting, is like it's usually within this pocket, but organically we're just writing that way. So from the Devil's Porch, we took everything that we learned. Badlands, we pushed ourselves in a lot of different ways to challenge ourselves, because I think that if we didn't do that, then we don't belong, you know, touring internationally or releasing something, or maybe not belong, but we don't, then we're not putting the best version of us, and we're not progressing and we're not growing. And I don't think that, you know, if we're not progressing and we're not growing, then we're not true artists at like trying to work at the craft of it. And then it's just becomes stale. So we never want to do that. We always want to progress. We always want to grow. We always want to challenge ourselves. So with every single release that we do and every single song that we write, we're trying to do that. We you know, like that's the goal.
So the album, the album,
the new album, with the new one, Shockwave, which we're about to release sometime this year, is a reflection of all of that. Everything that we've learned from the Devil's Porch and Badlands and all that stuff, we're bringing the next evolution of us forward in this new album, which is why we want to play all the songs live. Yeah, exactly.
So Badlands kicks off with the song Wild. It's a great album opener, you know, very energetic, more awesome guitar riffs. So Johnny, I'm curious, do you have like an app on your phone or a hard drive on your computer that they're just filled with these guitar riffs, you know, that you can just pluck out whenever you're writing a new song? Or is it just, you know, hey, we're gonna work on a new album and then stuff comes out?
I have a phone. It's funny, like I switched phones recently, and I noticed on my old phone I had like over 6,000 or something recordings of just like noodling stuff, and that was over a period of a couple of years. And yeah, I mean, like there's all that stuff. I try not to go into all those things because like it's sometimes it's a painful process of listening to all that stuff and like going through all those riffs and stuff. And but I think doing all that and recording all that stuff and having that stuff there is important to have if you get writer's block. And just remember, kind of like it brings you back to where like you were at that moment. And then I try to capture that and try to write something new.
How hard is it to actually go back and find a very specific riff you wrote though? Like, man, I remember I wrote something like, I don't know, a couple months ago, and now you're like going through all the hundreds.
I think
no, not that one. No, not that one. No, not that one.
I think the thousands of song recordings are just a reflection of thousands of failed attempts. You know what I mean? Because when it's really, really good, I don't care what's going on in my life. That is the most important thing, and leave me alone because I need to finish this. But so, I don't know, like it's that's the creative process. But yeah, I have tons of notes that I think more than the riff stuff that I go back to is the lyric stuff. So I'll make notes about certain lyric things and or certain lyric ideas and songwriting ideas, and I have tons of notes like on my phone or like wherever, And I pull from that more often than the guitar stuff. But we have tons of recordings of us just jamming and different things like that. And yeah, do come back to that stuff. And like,
Yeah, it is an important part of the writing process.
yeah, I think it's just,
do you both write lyrics, or is it Johnny that writes for himself?
Johnny does the majority of the writing. Yeah, it wasn't until this last album that we just recorded, that I actually contributed a little bit. But that's because there was the three of us in a room and all together working out the lyrics, right? And it was like, maybe this word could be better or something like that. And that's when I would come in and we would all brainstorm together on what that word might be.
Mm-hmm. I think that we tried something different. Like, so like I would have a lot of these lyrics and stuff and these ideas there, but for this new album that we have, that we're going to release, it was opening up to when we were working with Neil Sanderson. He's so talented, and he has such a great perspective on storytelling and songs and stuff. And we really wanted to let him be a part of our music that way. So we opened ourselves up to like, what do you think about this lyric? And like, so, and then just instead of, like letting egos get in the way, we really listened to him. And then at that same time, Renee just showed her a different side of her and being like, I kind of have this lyric. And they'd be like,
I was telling you good lyrics all along.
Neil and I just be like, whoa, like that's huge. But I think she was just shy, like, so it's great now. That's just, she's always been shy though. She used to play drums to
the wall, back to the door.
It's like,
don't look at me.
You have a lot more to offer, like just.
Oh, thanks.
But
thanks.
That's so the process changes, I guess, like when you start to open yourself up to the talents of everybody else. But I guess
learning something new too, right?
Yeah. And then coming to the table is usually me with all this stuff and being like, what do you guys think? And then adding different perspectives and kind of recognizing when it works and when it doesn't work.
And it's cool when you make something better too, right? Or it's that aha moment. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
So that's perfect. That's exactly what this needed.
Yeah.
So I have two kind of rapid fire questions about Badlands, and then we can move on to the new album. Is that all good?
Yeah,
sure.
All right. So they're kind of more technical on the instrument side. So for Living Too Fast, so that's one of my favorites. For the hook in the chorus, the Living Too Fast, the wee wee, is that keys? Is that a guitar? Is that backup vocals? What's making that little hook after the Living Too Fast? That is vocal?
Mouth. It's his mouth, yes.
do that one more time. I was talking. That's it. I thought maybe it's like a sliding guitar. Maybe it's vocals. I wasn't sure.
I think that you did that.
That might have been me too.
I think we layered multiple.
Oh, it was me. It was me. It was me.
Renee, we're hearing all the contributions that people are taking for granted. They're coming out in this interview, all the stuff that you do with this band.
I forgot I was a part of that. Yeah, there was some background vocals from me on that record.
Yeah. Well, it was such like building that record it's such a process of doing so many things. It's like going into it, we don't want it to take 10 years. So when we get in there, we're just throwing so much at the wall and doing so many different things and changing different recordings and all that stuff. Sometimes we do lose track of like, how do we do that again? It's like,
I know. To be honest, we should have filmed more, because you're bringing up all these things that I've just completely forgotten about, and there's probably no video history of anything.
But that's what interviews are for.
That's what this is for.
We're getting you in the fields. We're bringing back all these the repressed memories, and hopefully it gets you excited to keep playing, get back out on the road, and I guess the new album's done. I was going to say to keep you excited while you do the new album, but we'll talk about that in a second. My last question, this is for you, Renee. So for the song Red Skies, I'm curious, is your snare off until later on when it gets heavy? It sounds like a tom a little bit.
It is, yeah. The snare's off until the first chorus hits. Yeah.
Okay.
Which was funny live because it's a split second to turn it back on.
No, is it the first or is it the ending that we turn it?
Oh yeah,
on?
sorry. It goes all the way to the ending because it's quite the builder.
Once
right?
it gets heavy,
yeah.
Once that big,
suddenly you hear like a snare.
Oh, here's a.
yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it.
See, I actually, to not make a fool of myself, I reached out to a drummer and said, what is the technical term for when the snare sounds like a tom? And he said snare off. I was going to say something stupid, something else. So
what was it? What was the,
what was I going to say?
Yeah.
So he said he calls it snare off when it's not tightened and it sounds like a tom. I don't know what I was going to say. It was going to be something really stupid. So anyways, I'll let you know if I remember, but I definitely erased that from my notes. So we have a comment sent in. This is from a Canadian super group. This is Amir Epstein from Crash Karma. So that's a super group, for our listeners that aren't familiar, composed of members of IME and Our Lady Peace and some great bands. I think maybe the Tea Party, I got to double check for some of the members, but Amir says, Johnny and Renee are two of the hardest working musicians in Canada, hands down. They've been hustling for almost 15 years. They're still busting their balls. I don't know if Renee's busting her balls, but to make their dreams happen. Most bands would have given up long ago. They have a deep passion for their music. They have each other to keep the dream alive. Their stamina and drive are unmatched. And for that alone, they have my utmost respect. So what keeps coming across is that you're great people. You make awesome music, but also your work ethic. So where does that work ethic come from?
Oh, I don't know. I just think,
kind of taking a moment there from Amir's comment. Yeah, that's just unreal.
Yeah, that's very nice of him. I think because early on in our career, up until the point where we got signed, and actually even a little bit beyond that, we did everything ourselves, right? So if you wanted something to happen, you had to do it yourself. So like at one point I was radio tracking. So, which basically means I was the one delivering the song to radio and calling them every week. You'd be like, have you heard the song yet? Have you heard the song yet? But you develop a lot of relationships when you do that stuff, right? So it's all part of networking and working hard because nothing comes easy. And I mean, if it did come easy, you should probably question that a little bit.
Or if it did come easy, it's probably because your parents have a lot of money.
Oh yeah, there might have. Yeah, and then there was that too. Yeah. Like we don't come from money.
We don't come from that. We're not like
so it is about working hard and making those things happen because you are your biggest fan, right? So I think it's really important. And we still continue to, I more than ever, actually, I spend like 5 hours a day on band stuff and logistics. So even when we're not touring, and that's pretty insane now. So, at some point it's going to have to give and I'm going to have to hire someone to do other things, even though, we have a full spectrum team now too. So, and it's still that busy. Mm-hmm. But I love it. I actually find it hard to let go of things.
Yeah.
I still like keep tabs on things, like even though we don't do radio anymore, but I'm still every day like, hey, how's it going? Have you heard from, Brad Gibb at FM 96? Like, because I had built those relationships and it's hard to step back from that.
I don't think that we want to. Like, I think that it's not even a question of like giving up something or, I don't know. Other bands just stop for a lot of different reasons, but for us, like we do what we love to do. So having the drive and everything else is we just don't think about it. Like we just enjoy what we do so much that we just continue to do it.